Hey everybody, Randy Patterson here with Boomerocity. Boy, it's always good to be able to reach back and listen to the old stuff, isn't it? And if you're a vinyl collector, like a lot of you are, I know you love seeing some of the old stuff come back out on vinyl that you haven't ever seen on vinyl, especially with the bands that were hitting around the early 80s, like, oh, I don't know, the dB's, like you see right there. Um, their their album that came out in the early '80s called, stands for Decibels, was never out on vinyl here in the US. Great band, sounded great on CD, but there was no vinyl available until now. And now they're re-releasing that great album on vinyl, and you guys get to get it. And so I got to talk to the band's drummer, Will Rigby, and we talked about the story behind the re-release of this album and why now and what else the band's got going on in the near future. By the way, I think some live dates are coming up. You'll want to listen for that. So, without any further ado, here is my interview with Will Rigby, drummer for the dB's. Until next time, this is Randy Patterson. Take care. Hello, Will. Where are you clicking in from?
Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not very far from you. I'm in Sevierville, Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
So,
Dollar
over
country.
yeah, I'm over near Dollywood. So, but you're over in a good part of the beautiful part of the country as well. So, before we get started, I want to thank you for both taking the time and thanking you for all the great music you guys put out. It's a pleasure to finally get to talk to you.
Well,
So,
you're welcome and thank you.
my pleasure. So, you guys are re-releasing Stand for Decibels. What's the backstory on this? What's led you guys to do this?
It was basically the record company's impetus. The guy that runs the record label had been wanting to do this for years, and it was really his enthusiasm that led to it.
Mhm. Mhm. Was it more of a personal thing with him, or was it fan
Uh,
driven at that time?
he's an old friend and a longtime fan. Yeah, it was basically his doing. I
Mhm.
mean, we got behind it and we've been involved every step of the way, don't get me
Right.
wrong, but
Right. So, well, cool. That's good. I'm sure, I know from when I've already put out the feelers in my network that I was gonna be talking to you, there's already been feedback saying, "Oh, cool, this is," especially with the vinyl collectors out there and that type of thing, they're pretty stoked about this. When you think back on this album here, are there any stories that are tied to any of the songs, either from, personal stories about how the song impacted you, or feedback you have gotten from fans over the years about what certain songs off this album meant to them?
I mean, I have some personal memories about the songs. Some of them are, about specific people that will be left unnamed here, but, there's some specific memories involved with some of the songs. Some of them are more like, fictional, like Bad Reputation, that's fictional, but a lot of them are sort of, have like a melancholy to them that lends the album some emotional weight.
Mhm. Mhm. Good. Well, I think that the the band, the importance of the band, the impact of the band, I feel has been sometimes, oftentimes understated as far as how great your music has been, the impact it's had on other bands. I mean, REM comes to mind. Um, what's your what's your feelings about that? What have you do you feel like it's been understated, or you feel like you guys have been given the credit you're due?
Well, we would rather have been a successful band than a cult band.
Mhm,
I can
mhm,
tell you that. We'd trade in our cult status for money. That's for sure. We wanted to have hits, like
mhm.
any band. We wanted to be on the radio. And eventually we got on some radio, but it not not in any way, uh, like nationwide. And as far as influence, I'm sure there would be bands that would say they were influenced by us. I personally don't really hear it when I've never heard another band and said, "Wow, that sounds like the DBs." That's never happened to me.
Mhm.
So, uh, and I don't pretend to be objective about it, but just subjectively, it doesn't really. I mean, I'm happy if people say that, but it doesn't really. Yeah, I don't hear it.
Mhm.
Everybody that's any good has their own sound.
Sure, sure. Well, I for one think you guys were dang good as far as being able to just put out just some good rock and roll, man. I mean, I just thought you guys were, that what you did was spot on, and I thought it deserved more than it got. Not that you guys didn't get a lot, but I certainly would have put you up there among, people knew what they're doing, knew how to record, knew how to perform, knew how to put the songs out there, and craft good songs. So I for one think that the what you guys presented as far as quality, as far as devotion to the craft, to the songs, to the fans, I think it speaks volumes of you actually, and
Well, thank you. I think, we had like a lot of creativity in the band and two really, really good songwriters. With right there, that's more than most bands can say.
yeah, yeah.
So we had good songs and we had creative ideas about how to play them. Um, I think we were above average in terms of musical ability. Um, and I would like to say that Gene Holder is the secret weapon of the DBs. His bass playing is just when I go back and listen to the old recordings of the DBs, I was like, man, what a great bass player. That's what I really think. I
Mhm,
I don't, you know, I don't sit around thinking about how great we are. Sit around thinking about how great Gene is, and he's still really good.
mhm. Well, it's funny you should say that because most people like to make jokes about bass players, but I agree with you. I mean, without a good bass player, man, you can tank, you know?
Gene's special.
Yeah,
He's super creative and just astounding bass player.
mm, I agree, I agree. You've seen a lot of changes in the years since this album first came out. In your mind, what are the best and worst changes that have taken place? Is there anything that has happened where you think, "Gosh, I wish we had that back then," or you look at things today and you go, "Gosh, I miss what we were doing back then and wish we could be doing that today?"
I don't envy a young band trying to get somewhere in the music biz today just because it's just so hard to make money.
Yeah.
It's harder than ever to make money. Um, and even like old artists, they don't get any royalties worth like they used to anyway.
Right.
And they're touring into their 80s because they have to. Not the Stones, they don't need to. They're just doing it because they want to.
Because they
But
can, yeah.
I don't really envy uh, young bands that are facing that situation now, where
Mm.
it's just the royalties are just pitiful from streaming. It's a crime.
Well, they get signed into these 360 deals too that, the labels own everything, and that's nothing new, but it seems to be more pervasive now than it was
Well,
years.
I mean, I guess I'm thinking more of artists that are not on major labels,
Mhm.
like that are on New West or Merge or Bar None or Matador or labels like that, where they're not, you know, doing that kind of thing where they want to own everything.
Right. Right.
But you're on your own in terms of making money, really.
Mhm.
'Cause they don't expect to sell a lot of records, and the royalty rate is so incredibly low now. The only way to make money is to tour and sell merch. There's no other way.
Are you guys going to, do any touring in support of this re-release?
We are playing a handful of shows starting in Raleigh on September 7th and going up the East Coast, DC, Philadelphia. We're not playing in New York, we're playing in Jersey City, which
Oh,
is right across the river from New York.
right.
And then later weekend, we're doing Minneapolis and Chicago. And there'll probably be more shows, but that's all we've got booked right now.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Do you have anything else in the works as far as other re-releases or any new music coming out?
Well, okay, so this album, Stands for Decibels, is the first dB's album.
Mhm.
Came out in early 1981.
Right.
The second album, Repercussion, was recorded in 1981 and came out sort of in 81, but really in 82. And it is also coming out on Propeller Sound recordings in October.
Oh, cool.
It's being mastered, it's happening. That will be Propeller Sound's third dB's release.
Mhm.
They previously put out a double album of our early material, but before the first album. And now they've put out the first album and they're putting out the second album. Uh, so that's 4 LPs of dB's on Sound Propeller Sound.
Mhm. Very cool. Very cool. Now you, if I read correctly, you yourself, you do a bunch of other work. You work with other people like Steve Earle and others. How about personally, outside of the DBs, what are you working on this year and what's on your personal career radar?
Well, I'm kind of becoming an oldies act. I, my Peter and my high school band got back together in April and played a gig. Uh, and that was like the 50th anniversary of that band. And I've been playing some with Sneakers, which was the band before the DBs that Chris Stamey and I were in. We're playing a few shows this weekend, actually. Sneakers is,
Oh, cool.
and then the DBs. So, between all those three, I'm really becoming an oldies act. That's my specialty now. I also play with my wife, Florence Dorr, who is also on Propeller Sound recordings. Her album is quite good. It's got Peter and me and recorded by Don Dixon and Mitch Easter, and it's a really, really good record.
Cool.
Highly recommend it.
You said something that sparked another question I did not write down, but it's a question I've asked others who have been in the business a while. And you, when you said that being an oldies act, kind of prompted it, and that's this. Some people look at things and say oldies is not cool. Obviously, I think it is, or I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. You wouldn't be doing what you're doing. But what about our music, classic rock, that you feel gives it the legs to still be pretty dang good? And for even kids, later generations, all that wanting to pick it up, they're discovering it like it's something new. What about it in your mind gives it that kind of staying power?
The old music, like
Yes.
60s and 70s, are you talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah. And early '80s even.
Well, it's kind of a big bang type of thing. I mean, obviously Elvis is the big bang of rock and roll,
Yeah.
but the Beatles was an equally big bang. Bob Dylan was an equally important uh, person in the development. It just like in the 60s, it just grew so rapidly.
Mhm.
um, and it was all really super innovative, and there wasn't a whole bunch of pretense, and there wasn't a whole bunch of extra additives like digital delay that they came up with later, and it's a lot more natural sounding. The music from the '60s. I mean, going into the '70s. In the '70s, it started getting a little more bifurcated, and it really got bifurcated when the punk rock hit. But
Yeah.
uh, I think, you know, it was a young form of music. Now it's not really a young form of music anymore. It's
Right.
when I was growing up, it was the new thing. It's not really the new thing anymore, rock music.
Mhm.
It's venerable, but, let's face it, hip hop is like a way younger music, which I don't follow it, but I certainly respect it and um, think it's important.
Mm.
The entertainment dollar is spread so much thinner now. That's part of it is, well, everything costs more, but like the big thing that they didn't have back then that they have now, which is kind of really the new rock and roll, is video games,
Yeah.
which is just a huge, it's way, way bigger than the music biz. Way
Mhm.
bigger. I think it's bigger than the movie industry. It's just huge.
Mm.
And so I think that the fact that music has so much competition for people's money has changed the playing field.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, it's, and to your point, makes it a lot harder for the musicians to make their money, and I'm not a musician, but I certainly love and respect what you guys do, and I encourage people to purchase, not stream. It's just but I sometimes feel like I'm putting it on saying that to deaf ears, but, it's a mark of the times, unfortunately, but,
Well, I hope that some younger people get to hear this music. That's really the goal, because the old people that already know us, they might buy it again, but what we need is new listeners,
yeah,
if only to like cement our place in the pantheon or the history of the whole rock music scene. Our place is not huge, but it's venerable, respectable.
I think it's solid too, very solid, but, well, Will, I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me about this. Again, I love that you guys are doing this, especially from the vinyl perspective. You can't see my wall behind me, but I've got signed albums hanging all over the place. And if you guys get near me, I want to pick up a copy and have you guys sign for me uh, the album because I'd
How
love to.
close is near? Is Asheville like
That's probably maybe 2 hours from here.
right? But do you go to shows there?
I have. It's been a while, but I have. Are you guys going to be playing there?
It's pretty possible that that might be one of the places we play,
Ah,
um, which would probably be in October or November.
okay. Well, I'll keep an eye on the, on your itinerary and on your website, and, when I see it, I'll shoot you guys a note, let you know I'm coming over, and maybe shake your all's hands before or after the show and get you to sign the album for me. I would love
Cool.
that.
Did you? Is this a podcast or?
It'll be it is a podcast. I put it out on YouTube and on all the major podcast platforms and on my
Oh,
website.
so video.
Yes, it's all video. It'll all
I'm
be
going to
going.
be in the pictures, the moving pictures.
You are going to be a movie star.
All right. I'm
So
going viral on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, let's hope. That's what I would like to see. So, but yeah, it'll probably be a couple weeks before it rolls out. Got some others that are being edited ahead of time of you, but I'll be routing the link over through Wendy, so you guys will have it. And feel free to distribute it, share it, post it, whatever you want to do.
Certainly will.
Um, and then, like I said, I'll keep an eye to see if you guys are going to be hit when you're going to be hitting Asheville or anywhere nearby, and be an honor to be able to meet you guys in person and shake your all's hands.
Uh, Great. Well, thanks for talking to me, and hope it all goes great over there in Dollywood.
It will. Always does. All right, my friend, stay safe and we'll see you down the road.
All right. Thank you.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.